Welcome to Mercury square Pluto for all 12 zodiac signs. I'm Everett Purdy, and welcome to the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Now, I want to say this right up front. If you are interested in really deep astrology, meaningful astrology, then I would really love it if you would subscribe. Any support to this channel would be great. And I think that you will really enjoy the offerings that I have to give you on this channel. So that's what I want to say, before then, only, after, listening to this. But so anyway, I want to do these readings where I do the 12 signs for each of the transits that I discuss in a way where how does it apply to your sign? What do you need to know? Like oracle readings. These are prescriptive rather than predictive. Rather than telling you this is happening in your 8th house and this is what you're going to experience, I'm telling you how to work with the energies, how to what to consider for these energies and how they can help you be the best version of yourself based off of your sun, moon, and rising sign. So that's what these videos are. And, I was looking at, I had this dream a while ago about these videos, and in the dream I was listening to reading for a sign. I was saying to myself, gosh, that is way too long and way too much information. You were just draining out every bit of information. Well, I don't want to do that in these videos. I don't want to make it too confusing for you, too much for you to take in, where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't chew this, I can't digest this, and it's just, flows into meaninglessness. Like, I want you to get something out of these horoscopes, and I want them to be meaningful. And I just was thinking to myself, these are just way too long, and there's too much information in these. And I try to cut it down to a little bit, of information, not giving away all the information. But I want to reduce it down even less. Instead of 4 themes for each sign, I've reduced it down to 3 themes per sign. And they kind of flow into one or something. I mean, a lot of these blend and a lot of these things overlap, and I will sort of weave it together as I go through these so that you can understand it. Like, I want you to get something out of it, and I want you to understand what I'm trying to say without being this piece, that piece, and that piece, and then you're just left confused. Like, well, what am I to think about if you're listing all these things? Like that's what I honestly, I haven't got any comments saying that. That's what I honestly feel reflecting back with myself in these videos, so I want to reframe that. So, follow along for your sun, moon, and rising sign. If you don't know your moon and rising sign, go to astro.com and look up, put in your time and birth information to find your ascendant sign. Your rising sign is most predominant because it deals with your sort of soul path of what you're naturally rising into. It's just very first, and it's very it's probably the most accurate, I would say. And the sun is secondary, which gives and I find that with the sun, I was listening to my sun sign, and you're going to find that you're probably more resistant to information with the sun, because what is the sun but your ego? Or, the ego is not the most open-minded, open-hearted to new information, because it wants to do its own thing. It wants to, it thinks you feel a very secure sense of self, and worst, it is very defensive in a type of way. So, I would ask you to then be open to new information. Be open to the information for that particular placement. And also your moon placement might just add something to it as well, because, well, I used redundancy there. So, but the moon placement provides more of the emotional context, more of the emotional background. So, what's going on, the sort of mood and tone of the readings, and sort of go with your moon sign. And that just is it, so that I like to think of as the sun, moon, and rising as the astrological Holy Trinity. It's the big three. Don't watch this for your Mercury, Venus, or Mars, or North Node, or, whatever, because that is diluting it. I want to keep it limited to your sun, moon, and rising sign. Anything beyond that is kind of inappropriate for this. Well, I'm going to just say it is, because, that's just too much, and that's where an astrological consultation needs to sort of come into play here. So that's what I would just advise for these readings. So let's begin with Aries. Now, Aries, sun, moon, and rising. You can be very, very impulsive with your speech. Say things just without thinking about them. Say things just, I say something and boom, it just comes out of left field, out of nowhere. And I'm very, very, in the mindset and in the sort of mashup of all that I have to say. And it's very, very, reactive. Like, Aries needs to learn in this life. The evolution of Aries is learning to respond rather than react. So Aries at worst can react in a way where they are very, just very arrogant and very egoic, and they're not using their energy at the highest level. So the best thing is to be, very more mindful at this time, because you may say things, or you may feel the tendency to say something that may be a little bit pointy, or maybe a little bit rough, or unfiltered or tactful. And it's not a mental thing. It's a heart thing. So, the more you can, I say this over and over again, dropping into your heart, not being, in your ego. I say it over and over again. And I'm going to say it here, because, being kind shouldn't be a mental thing, where, it doesn't feel true for you. No. That is kind of last century. In this century, in this day and age, it is very, very much, heart-based. So, make sure that what you're saying is not too rough, not too intense. And so, but still, speaking with confidence, speaking with, a lot of confidence, in, having a lot of confidence in what you're saying. This is also what comes down here, because Mercury square Pluto makes the confidence amplified and increased, and the voltages up. So speaking with confidence in this, like saying something and owning what you're saying, being sure of yourself with what you're saying. So if you have a piece of information, I want to decrease the bone laws, or the carrot laws, or the, or not laws, but I want to make this point, and I'm very, very passionate about it, because I feel very, very strongly about it, well, then you can raise the confidence level up, like you can hype that up, and be more confident in your delivery. And then also, not looking at something, looking at something deeply without jumping to conclusions. Aries can jump to, this is how it is, and this is what it is, and this is the final ends meet of it. This is the conclusion, this is what I've reached, and this is all that I have to come up with all that I'm doing, really. And it's very, very quick. It doesn't want to wait around. It doesn't want to investigate and really, really take the time to learn things, because it just wants immediate answers. And like Aries is a sign of instant gratification. It's the part of, all of us that just wants things instant. There's an urgency with this energy. There's an impatience, a need for it in the moment, right now. Doesn't want to wait. So it's very, very important in this case to, instead really, really look at going deep with it, taking the deep dive and looking at this piece of information, and understanding it fully, understanding all the bits and pieces of it, all the, the little details of it, all the little fragments of it, all the facets of it. without just jumping to, oh, this is how it is. And then, the thing is, with Aries, and I'm going to say this knowing that I said something against this in a previous podcast episode. Not this podcast, though, but the other one that I have. Another one that I have. And I'm going to phrase it this way, because I disagreed with this when I heard it. There is this, self-absorption with Aries energy. And I would say to Aries to work on being very, very secure in yourself. Because if you're secure in yourself, then you won't be so, self-absorbed and focused on, just yourself. And it is really, really a good idea to, focus on, not, be in your own little bubble and look, out there to what is going on, in the world at this time, and to look at other issues besides, your own life and your own, whatever you're doing in your own, way of being. Because Aries is a very, very self-focused sign. And, it's good to kind of focus on, out there, focus on it in a way that's true for you. Like, for example, forming relationships that are true for you. Or it could be not only this, but it could be, how can I be my authentic self? I want to take it back. I want to say, how can I be my authentic self while serving the collective? How is me being my authentic self and living my soul life serving the collective, serving, everybody else, serving, others? So how is me being sovereign going to then help others? Like, if you are, a singer, then don't just do it privately, put it out there, or maybe inspire others to sing their own songs, inspire others to be their own advocate, inspire others to be their own singer, and motivate others to be artistic in that way. And then, what do you do in service to others? This is, really, really about, for Aries. It is good to be of service. In a way where you're not compromising your identity. That's what I'm not saying compromise your identity. What I'm saying is taking your identity and sharing it. Not being so, self-oriented about it, but, sharing it and distributing it and showing others, showing others the voice that you have with, what you're doing. And how can you be of service to others? Focusing on service to others, service to your community, the collective, all those kind of things like that. I will say, in that reading that I was talking about with two best friends, they were talking about how Aries can be self-absorbed and, putting blinders on, only focus on its own world. It is good to be focused on how can I make a difference in others' lives? How can I be, a better individual, for the sake of others? And then you will find that when you do this, it's healthy for Aries to have good, healthy relationships and feel, open-hearted and, the type of way, like really, really, doing it in a way where they are open-hearted and loving, as opposed to, it's all about me and what I'm doing. So, it's very, very important to be very, very transparent in your delivery of things. That's the very, very last little thing I want to insert here. And this reading is going to be longer than other ones because as I was doing this, I was realizing, oh, I need to change this. And so, I didn't want to limit my creativity. But, being true in your delivery, being, honest and, what you have to say and the way that you're phrasing it and not withholding secrets, not keeping secrets. And, it's very, very important to share openly all these secrets. Sharing these sense of secrets with what is going on and not keeping your cards too close to your chest. Being honest about, like, this is how I feel and this is what I want and this is what I'm feeling and this is what I believe. Like, being honest about these things is very, very important for Aries. And, and it's okay if I contradict my beliefs and my things for the purpose of, giving Aries a reading. So, besides the message about thinking, looking to others and how can I make a difference and how can I be of service, it is looking at, being transparent in your delivery. Just being honest, just being open about what you have to say. And so moving on to Taurus. Now, Taurus is a sign that can be really, really stubborn at worst. This is the low end of Taurus. Very, very stubborn. Incredibly stubborn. Like, I'm telling you, the most stubborn sign, because they are so stubborn that they are just not willing to look at, like, other opinions, other ideas, other ways of going about life. And so, it's very, very important for the Taurus personality to be open-minded towards things and not be closed-minded, because you can really, really get yourself into a rut of being very, very closed-minded about all these kind of things, like new ideas, new visions, or new whatever, thinking that your ideas are the only ones that work. Like, Taurus South Node can be resistant to old ideas because they don't feel secure enough in themselves, and they constantly need to just, instead of just relaxing into the present moment, they're constantly needing to work and work and work and work and work and doing things the same way, the hard way, over and over again for it to work. Like, I'm doing this under the full moon in Scorpio, and one of the Scorpio North Node lessons could be, especially Scorpio North Node in the third house, is being open to new ideas, being open to new solutions that could work. Like, if somebody tells you a new solution that is true, that is supporting what you want to do and not what they want to do, and say, here, how can I, this is an easier, more efficient way of doing this, instead of being resistant and being stubborn, like, oh, this is the way it is, and this is the way I've always done it, and darn it, I'm going to stick to this way of doing it no matter what, and darn it, I'm going to put my gloves on and work my tail off, and I don't care if I suffer through it or whatever. This is the way that I know it, and this is how it is. Well, like, no, it is not. Like be bendable, be flexible to new ideas. Taurus at worst is not very flexible. Like, it's really, really a rigid energy. And when you can get out of this and become really just knowing that your ideas aren't the only ones that work. Like, there are other ideas. There are other ways that could be more efficient and could be faster. So when you can't open up to those, ideas, then, and in those solutions, like, for example, making your finances easier. Or, for example, in the YouTube studio, there is an AI button which you can click, which gives suggestions to, to grow your channel. Like I did that this morning, and I may very well apply the suggestions. Like being open to new ideas is very, very important for all the earth signs with this aspect. But so, not clinging so tightly to information. There's this need for certainty, with earth signs. There's this need to, make everything secure and stable and pluck the gooses in the earthy realm of existence and make it just so in pine and so weighty and so, all the kind of things like that. So, so it's very, very important to, not be, not be very, hold on to information and be so attached to particular ideas and information because this is highly intellectual of a transit, but being open to new ideas, being open to new solutions, which I know that it is hard because you're so, which is very, very difficult for Taurus because they find comfort in the familiar uncertainty. But that is really, really going to hold you back. And so I would say that, you don't want to live a small life, don't you? So, why not just open up yourself and your mind to new, ideas and new ways of thinking about things and, being open and questioning what you know. Question what you know really, when it comes right down to it, not thinking, that all about something. Not thinking that your ideas are the be-all, end-all, that, something and you're so, fixed about it. Open up to new ideas, new information, and, learn all these new things. Like that's what I'm, advising towards at this time, is to, be open to new ideas. Be open to questioning what you already know and be willing to learn. That's what this is about. And then, what are you ignoring through your practical efforts, through the practical tasks that you do on a daily basis in terms of conversations that need to be had? So in terms of these conversations, the practical conversations that have to be had, the conversations that are necessary. It's not going to be fun, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be light, it's not going to be full of joy, but it's necessary to have these conversations with these people about these very, very serious issues that inevitably you're going to need to have these conversations, and you're going to need to be willing to face certain truths that you're not willing to face, because that's what Pluto demands. Like Pluto demands that you face these truths, that you face what you're unwilling to face, that you come face to face with the shadow. And Taurus can evolve through Scorpio with being willing to face the shadow. So, like that is, part of life, is sort of the complexities of life that Scorpio introduces to Taurus and introduces really to all the signs. But, but being, having practical efforts, and having those necessary conversations. Gemini. It's very important, Gemini, to be honest in your delivery of information. Don't lie your way through life. That's what I'm saying to, to Gemini, is to, to not, lie, lie your way through life. Lie your way through, what's going around. Like, for example, a very, very classic Gemini is the President of the United States, and he has lied, through the bone, through, trying to deceive others through information, and, convincing others that he's right and he's superior and he's almighty and, all of this. And, in doing it in a way, we're covering up the truth of integrity, of personal feelings, of personal truths, of real personal understandings and self-discovery and growth and humility, but lying to make himself look bigger and better and puffing himself up, instead of facing what's going on inside of you, instead of facing the truth, instead of facing what you're really experiencing, instead of facing what you need to look at on a soul level to feel secure about yourself. So be very, very mindful of being, like, whatever you're saying, be honest about it. Don't get caught in lying through information. Like, be truthful about the information. And it's like, it is better, your word is your bond. It is better to be, honesty is the best policy. It is better to be honest than to lie. That's just a common truth. So the more honest you are, the better off this transit will, work for you and around this time. So then, engaging in, yeah. So, engaging in meaningful conversations. And, it's my video, so I can say it. I want to go back to what I was saying with Aries about, focusing on, others, and, Gemini is the other way of doing it. It is not healthy to be always focused on, yourself and your own life, at all times. It is also healthy to focus on, the outside world and to look at what is, under your nose in the outside world and not living a life that is suction cupped onto the end of your nose. So, it's all a balance. It's not one way or the other. Like, there's Aries, but there's also Libra. So focusing on that is very, very important for Aries. But anyway, back to Gemini, back at the ranch, engaging in, meaningful conversations, about topics, that are serious topics, like engaging in these conversations that you maybe have been avoiding. But Gemini is an adaptable sign. It's a flexible sign. It's a curious sign. So, it's open to new ideas. It's open to new information. So being open to those new ideas, being open to having those different conversations and engaging with people and exchanging ideas and learning and doing all this is Gemini's strong suit. So that is what I'm really advising for Gemini now, is to be willing to have those deep, meaningful conversations. Then the other thing is be deep about your communication. Don't just say it in a careless way, but be very, very intentional and speak in a mindful way, being present with what you're actually saying as opposed to just being in your head. Because Gemini at worst can be in their head, be stuck in their head, like living in their head. Like, speak and learn and say things intentionally and mindfully can be very, very helpful for Gemini for their evolution and growth this lifetime. So that is what I would say for Gemini in that kind of way, and saying things purposefully and intentionally. Cancer. So it's very, very important for Cancers to look at the pieces of information that's going on in their lives. Look at the pieces of information that they are, that they feel emotionally insecure about, and inquiring into those pieces of information. Because Cancer can, be unafraid to look at the shadow, look at what's really going on, because it's just so, needing emotional security, needing emotional comfort, that it's afraid to look at all these things. So it's very, very important to be willing to look at the pieces of information that is calling your name, to be willing to go there, because denial is not a fun emotion, Cancer. Denial is pushing down a truth and pushing down, facing an emotional truth with repressing it and pushing it down. It is better if you are open to it and face it, and being willing to understand, okay, well, this information is being presented to me, and this is good for me to look at it. So, looking at this information can be very, very huge for you. And then, questioning your emotional narrative, Cancer. Questioning that narrative that you have inside of you. Questioning, like asking the question, like, is what I am feeling true for me? Is what I'm feeling true for me? Are my emotions true for me? Is this what I really need to feel? Not necessarily want to feel, because we all want to feel happy or whatever, but are these emotions necessary for me as a soul and what I need to feel in terms of my growth, in terms of my becoming better as a person, becoming more emotionally intelligent, becoming more avid and savvy with my emotions? And is what I'm feeling true for me, Cancer? True for me, or allowing, or because what Cancer can do is they can easily allow others' emotions to blend into theirs. They can allow others' emotions to go into their emotions. Like it's an open pathway. Where kind of like Pisces, how water signs are just so receptive. The Cancer can take on the emotional struggles of the people very, very close to them, like family, and their emotional sagas, and they have to put up with it, and they have to babysit and nurture and do all that, and be everybody's mom, and be everybody's caretaker, and be a martyr to everybody's emotional problems. And so what emotions am I allowing in? Like setting healthy boundaries is so important for Cancer. What emotions am I allowing in? And are these emotions serving me and helping me and, allowing me to grow? And are they really making me feel good about myself? Are they really making me feel secure and calm and grounded? Or are they steering me off course? So that is, really, really big, profound question that Cancers can ask themselves with this. And then the final thing is, Super Nanny, Joe Frost, who is a Cancer sun, was talking about how the government in the UK is not taking measures to care for children and keeping them, in a good place because of what they're being exposed to on social media, and with all the threats and all the bullying and all the violence. And basically they are, children are getting exposed to this, and then feeling like, there's no point in living, and there's no point in going on surviving, and I'm a worthless, meaningless, bad person, horrible person, and they, and then they sacrifice themselves. Like this is horrible. And this is just one of the issues. Like looking at the issues of children, because Cancer is about, like, Cancer is the mom, and so, nurturing children. So, if you are a mom, or if you know children in your life, like, ask yourself, like, could you genuinely want to serve? You genuinely want to be a caring, loving person to others. And so, if you feel like children are not getting loved enough, not getting cared for enough, not getting enough nurturing or enough appreciation, then it becomes important to look at that. So then, how can I improve children's lives? How can I make a difference in children's lives? What can I do in my small way to help children, to help the children in my life? If I notice they are feeling in love, or talk to them about, do they feel loved or do they feel nurtured? And doing what you can to nurture them and care for them, because you have the power to help people. You have the power to change people, well, not that, but help people and make a difference in their lives, with really, really caring for them, in ways that are very, very healthy and, considerate, and caring and empathetic, for that kind of thing. So, so helping them with is very, very important. Looking to these issues and finding the solutions as opposed to being stuck in, the problem, the children are getting treated this way, children are getting mistreated, getting understood or whatever. And looking into these issues and seeing the solutions, not being so caught in the problem. Like, I find this to be an issue in my life. I tend to dwell on the negative and do all of that, but I'm looking to see the more positive. Like, here's a solution to this problem. Like, every problem has a solution. Everything can be fixed. And so being optimistic and being knowledgeable about this and being aware of this is very, very important. Like, what is the solution to this problem? And how can I fix this problem or come up with a solution to make a difference in others in my lives? Help people from a place of love and heart-centeredness, in a place, in our lives, in your life. Moving on to Leo. So, how can you be open in a very, very steady way, Leo? That's a really, really important question you could ask. Being open in a steady way, in a very, very grounded way. How can Leo become more grounded with its loving energy, with its heart energy? Leo can get so dramatic. It can be melodramatic. It can be, hysteria, kind of, things like that. It can, and the South Node in Leo coming up this July is really, really going to have us look at where are we over-engaging in drama, in getting caught in dramatic patterns of, the world is buckling. We're falling apart. And getting in a situation where you have, you're getting so, caught in the emotions of it that you just are very, very, Leo, because Leo puts on a show. Leo has that flair of drama to whatever it says, even negative drama. It's very, very big with its expression of doing it. It's very, very outward. Like, how Leo expresses emotions, its emotions is outward. Like, it expresses it on an outward level. If it's feeling something, it will let others know about it. So, looking at that drama and, looking at, like, how can I tone this down in a way where I am more calm and peaceful? So, Leo at worst can be narcissism and people thinking that they are better than others and living from an insecure place of trying to make themselves stronger and defeating others to bring themselves a sense of security and a sense of confidence and a sense of superiority and acquisition, if that's the word for it, and is, all these kind of things. So that's a shadow of Leo, and we're already seeing it playing out, and the South Node in Leo, K2 in Leo, is going to really, really suck it down and hopefully dissolve all that shadow content of Leo. So that's what the South Node does in astrology. That's what Ketu does. So instead of people taking all the power, how can you shine your unique light in a way that benefits everyone? How can you shine your light in a way that benefits, the collective? By thinking about the collective, thinking of how, is what I am doing compassionate? Is what I am doing serving others for the good of all? Is what I am doing kind and helpful to others? Or is it just very, very, selfish and egoic? So, how can you shine your unique light in a way that's not you having more power than others? Because Aquarius energy is very much about the all, thinking of the greater good of all, sharing energy. It is about the collective. It is where I am being my unique self, and it is also helping everybody else. So, shining your unique light in those kind of ways. And then leveraging and sharpening your focus also when it comes to your thinking communication. Like really, being very strong in this and speaking your mind and speaking your heart in a very, very strong, confident way with this while not being, overly dominating. So that's what I would say for Leos. Now for Virgos. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now this could be a very, very, mind thing. Where you may be caught in patterns of being overly critical. Virgo has, this is, I hate this about Virgo, it's this nitpicky quality of just critical and judgmental and, you're wrong and you're flawed and all this. Well, no, invite compassion into this. Inviting compassion into it. Inviting love for others and for self. And, for others, I'm talking about for others now. Like, oh my goodness, this whole, being critical and being, tearing others down and being, judgmental and, all these kind of things. That is really, really destructive and very, very unhealthy for Virgo energy to sort of get into. So, it's very important to be very, very mindful of your words. Are they coming from a loving place? Are they coming from a compassionate place? Are they loving? Are they kind? Are they understanding and compassionate? Or are they just, me putting others down? So releasing this need for being critical, overly critical, is very, very important here. And then also not getting stuck in certain things, which I'm going to get into. So, Virgos can be really, really stuck in the way of thinking. They're very, very rigid in their way of thinking. And with this conventional way of going about things, with these logical ideas, and Virgos were very based in logic, and they kind of shut out, and they kind of cut out, and they kind of are dismissive of anything that's not based off of logic. Like, it's not all about logic. It's not so much about logic. Well, that, but just, but just they have certain ideas about things. And they're like, no, this is the way it is because, this is what is factual and this is what is, logical, and this has to make scientific, logical sense. But this can really, really limit you. This skeptical mindset of just this being so caught up in the logic and the, the ideas that you already know, can be very, very limiting to you. So it's very, very important to be open to new ideas and new ways of thinking about things, because then you will, really, really grow in terms of, well, I have this, idea, and I'm coming up with and I'm being open to whatever new idea comes to play here. Whatever new, vision that I have, or, or just any idea from anybody else. So that's very important. And the getting out of what you know is right. What you already know. Logical. The logical information. And expanding your mind. Like if you're skeptical over astrology, then I would say expand your mind and expand into that, and be curious to learn about it and see how valuable and how accurate and how meaningful it can actually be, and how useful it can be, and how insightful it can be. So, expanding your thinking with that. And I'm going to be, personal, story. I'm going to be meeting with a new job coach coming here who is very, very much a Christian person and does things to support people in very, very Christian ways. And I really, really hope that he is open to astrology. And I may test him to see, is this person really open and interested in the things if I am interested in, if I'm going to be working closely with him. And I don't want to have to run into a situation with a skeptic of, I've never run into one, and I hope that I'm not going to, have a meeting with somebody who's just so skeptical and so resistant to it. Otherwise, we're going to run into some problems, and certain things need to be addressed. And, yeah. So, anyway. So getting out of what you know is right and challenging your thinking for the sake of open-mindedness, for the sake of being very open-minded and open to new ideas, and for the sake of being open-minded. Being open-minded is so important. Now, Libra. Moving on to Libra. So are your friends holding things close to their chest, Libra? Really looking at your friend type relationships, your friend relationships. How are those friend relationships working out for you? Are they holding anything back? Because, friend groups can get into their little niches, into their little, into their little, covets. And, if you feel like your friends are being unfaithful to you, unloyal to you, holding things in, not letting things out, not being honest with you about things, not being genuine with you about the things going on and the issues going on, and if they are keeping things private, and not telling you these things, and really, trust, a huge part of it is built on communication. A huge part of, relationships and people bonding together is based off of things being communicated in an honest way where nobody is holding secrets, or everybody is speaking very, very openly about things and sharing their truths and sharing what is really, really going on, and not repressing things. That builds trust and that builds connection. So look at where these groups are not, are not being open and faithful, to you, with things and holding things back from you. So you are meant to have open conversations with them. Open conversations about these things. You're meant to talk about all these things and share all the, all what you feel valuable to talk about. Did that blue collar go to the store and buy the food for the week? Or did you happen to have a nice meeting today? Or I'm trying to think of an issue. Did that penny get fallen in the fountain? Or did it get stuck out of the fountain? Or did that friend really have a good day at work today? Or did they not? Well, don't cover that up, but be honest about it. So you see how these, just these examples are sort of showing like how important it is to be open in communication and conversation. And there's also, with this, it's not avoiding the deep stuff. It's not avoiding the shadow stuff, because Libra likes to be very, very light and positive and, denies anything shadowy, dark, and not beautiful and gory. And it's really, really important to look at what is actually the shadow going on. What is the shadow content? What is the building of the shadows coming up to, Scrampton Bridge, or whatever it may be, or Triton Bridge. So, with everything light going on that you focus on, like the beautiful violins that are playing, like the beautiful paintings across the sky, like the beautiful relationships and the beautiful aspects of it, certain truths that you have, denying the hard truths that need to be faced within yourself on a spiritual level. That is very, very important. At some point, you kind of need to face these truths and come face to face with this, and being willing to have these conversations with these truths in that. And then doing your part, Libra. Like it's a two-way street. Like doing your part to be assertive in your communication and transparent in your communication. And what does it mean to be transparent? Things that are understandable, things that are open and honest. That's what transparent means. So, okay. So, are you being honest, Libra? And what you're saying? Are you being honest in what you're saying? Is what is coming out of your mouth honest and truthful? And are you stepping up and being assertive and sharing what needs to be shared? Or, oh my gosh, this is big. Or, are you brushing issues under the rug just for the sake of harmony and peace? Are you doing that? This is the time to really, really look at that and see, maybe I have to make a change to this to be able to speak to the issues going on. That's Aries, like being assertive about these issues, not in an aggressive way, but to just say, these are the issues, this is what I feel, this is what I believe, and, speak to these issues and being open. To see that, people see your integrity, people see your being truthful and showing independence and sovereignty within yourself about these things, and not holding any information in, really. So that's what it comes down to in regards to that. Okay, now Scorpio. It's really, really important for Scorpios not to obsess. Scorpio can really, really easily obsess over things. Very, very, focused and fixated on it, and really just deny themselves peace through this, mental peace. At worst, Scorpio can, cut peace and tranquility and calm and stability off from themselves because they're so focused on the drama and the just getting to the bottom of something and needing to, dig so deep all the time that they become obsessive and fixated in a way where they're not seeing the perspective, where they're not taking a step back and going, hey, how is this really, Scorpio at worst can really sacrifice their peace and go all into something and not think of themselves first. To think of yourself first is to value yourself enough to think of your peace. Like that is, as a Taurus North Node, that is one of the really, really huge lessons that I'm learning in this life. is to prioritize my own sense of peace inside myself. So, being aware of this and catching yourself when you do it. Like, oh, there I go again, obsessing over an idea or an issue or something that I'm researching or something that I'm investigating or a person or whatever. Because it gets so emotionally charged that it becomes so intense that you lose perspective, that you lose seeing it objectively, that you lose seeing it at a distance, that you lose seeing it in a calm, moderated way where you're looking at it in moderation. So that's what I would say to that. And then it's also about harnessing your power, Scorpio. To speak with purpose and depth. To speak with purpose and depth. That's what this comes down to. Is being able to speak to something. And being really, really intentional about your saying. Not only this, but, what you are not looking at is very, very important. What are you not looking at? What are you not choosing to face? Because you are meant to be aware of what others can't easily see at face value. Scorpio is not a face value sign. It goes beyond what we can see at face value. It goes below the surface to find what's really going on underneath the noise, underneath the mask, underneath, like it wants to see the truth. It wants to expose the truth and see what's beneath the mask. And so you're meant to go deep in this way, but not in a way where you're sacrificing your peace. Like if you notice, I'm going too far into something and sacrificing my peace, and that's, one thing. But, it's a balance. It's both and. So you're meant to, look at, face what you're not choosing to face. Like look at what you're not looking at and be willing to, face that and, look at that very, very easily. Which is very, very important for you. Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a very, very philosophical sign in its, in its kind of nature of itself. What new philosophical questions are being presented to you at this time? Because Sagittarius really looks at the big questions of life and morals. And because that's what Jupiter rules, and living by high principles, and asking questions about the universe and the world and humanity and human mind and human thought. So what are these philosophical questions that are coming at you, that you're being presented with, that now is where you feel like, well, why didn't I just engage with these philosophical questions? Why didn't I just take action steps to, put effort into answering these questions? Because I want to answer these questions. This is Sagittarius rising person. We're very, wanting to learn and expand their minds. So, this is great for you because it's all about expanding your mind. At best you can expand your mind. Looking at exploring these questions and finding the truthful answers. Sagittarius is about finding the truth. It is a truth seeker. And when they find the truth, when Sagittarius individuals find the true answers that they are looking for, through their wisdom, through their experiences, through their travels, they then find peace. That's what makes them happy. That's what makes them peace. Makes them feel peaceful. And so there is also this, this focus on out there with Sagittarius. This focus on, just, other countries, other nations, other, other cultures, other religions, other beliefs, other things. What about focusing on what is right in front of you? Right in front of your face, your small community, the books on your shelf, the desk in your room, the people in your immediate environment, the, your house, and certain issues that deal with your smaller life, family, home, environment, kind of thing like that. Like those environments that are very important to really, really pay attention to for Sagittarius, for Sagittarians in this kind of way, looking at these things very, very easily for you. So it's a good idea to focus on issues related to family and home environment and see what personally in your life needs to be fixed, because only you know what that is. And then how can you challenge what you already know about things? How can you challenge what you already know? Because Sagittarius can get very, very dogmatic, very, very... one of the things that Sagittarius can learn from Gemini is to just be humble and curious. Just be curious. Just be open to learning new information. Just be open to expanding your mind instead of being so confident. And this is the truth that I have, and this is my truth, and this is my belief, and darn it, this is superior, and this is what it is, and I'm not changing it, and being very, very confident and overly prideful in that truth, as opposed to just and thinking that you know all, that you know all, and you're not willing to learn. True wisdom, Sagittarius wants to be wisdom, is not thinking that you know all, not thinking that you, because part of it is dumb. Like there's whiz, like a wizard, but there's also dumb. Like it's about not thinking that you know all. The phrase "I don't know." Like I have a song for, Sagittarius South, and they're like, you don't know, and you don't know other people and what they're going through, and there are things you don't know, certain things. So because you don't know, admit that you don't know, and be open to learning, so that you do acquire new knowledge, and through that knowledge you acquire wisdom. But this is really saying the small things is really, really huge. The small, aspects of life. So for the week of May 3rd, focus on this very, very easily for you in your life. So Capricorn. Capricorn is really, really kind of, hard-nosed about things sometimes. It can be very, very cold and unmovable and stuck in its ways, and that can be a pretty rigid energy because it's so conventional. Thinks that with the information that exists in the world, when it comes to the tried and true ways of doing things, the approaches to doing things, achieving goals, and how people operate in the realities of this world when it comes to money, when it comes to business, when it comes to revenue and buying a house, whatever the issue is, or going into a job. It's very, very conventional with all this, like really, really conventional with its modes of thinking, that it can lack the innovative spirit. It can lack the openness to the the new ideas, the new trends, or the world changing. Like you have to understand, like the world is changing, so change along with it. So, know that times are changing, and, new information that Aquarius comes right after you saying, change your ways, Capricorn, and, change, your perspective. Be open to changing your perspective over things. and being open to new information, even if it doesn't immediately make sense to you. This is really, really big. Because it's like you look for the logic and the certainty and the safety and all the information that you look at. Like, is this true to what I already know and what already exists in the world? Like information comes about because new people have new ideas and they share their new ideas, and then that gets out into the world. So we constantly need people to come up with new ideas, and there's constantly new information about things. So Capricorn is, so fixated on what is already fact and what is already known. But what about coming up with your own story? What about being creative and coming up with new ideas, new ways of thinking about something, new information coming about? So openness to new information is a really, really important thing for Capricorn. And also, are there authority figures in your life that are keeping secrets? Keeping, secrets, withholding things very, very easily with what they are saying, what they are doing. Are they not being honest about these things? Are these authority figures expecting you to just conform to their ways? Expecting you to just follow along with what they want you to do and not, for you to follow your own truth, follow your own authenticity and do all of that, for example? Are they not sharing things openly with you, as I said before? So being aware of that is really, really important. Just being aware, being aware of how people are keeping those secrets and how they're exposing those, sharing those secrets. And then finally, pieces of information may come to the surface that's as important to look at to improve yourself. These pieces of information could, come up for you. And these are like the outside world reflecting back to you. It's time to change your ways. It is time to focus on new ideas. It is time to get rid out of conventional ways of doing things and checking with yourself. Like, does this feel right for you, or does this feel like a lot of opinions, a lot of noise? Because you ultimately have the authority of your life. But I do ask that you are open during this time, and that you are open to the outside and new ideas and new information to look at how you can improve yourself. Like information on how you can be, humans can be rigid and humans can be defensive over things, like being open to pieces of information that, again, may not just click for you and, resonate as something that making logical sense for you right away. But it's about being willing to learn and being willing to understand that. And that is going to really, really serve you well. Aquarius. Aquarius is about the new things, the new innovations. So, what discoveries and inventions are coming out in the world that you can utilize? What are those new inventions coming out? Like the tractor and the train, like the driverless cars, like AI and how it can be helpful and not unethical. How the how the plane was invented, how the certain modes of transportation or certain new discoveries for any kind of different things like that. So what are those new discoveries that you're discovering in your life that you can utilize, and how can that can really, really change your view of the world? How can these things ultimately transform your view of the world from a very, very stuck place to a very, very open place? Like I said on a video where I was kind of projecting on this video, but really, really looking at not thinking that the box is just so, like Aquarius wants to get out of the box, but it can get out of its own box as well. Thinking that its box is just so limited and it's with its ideas and what it knows and expanding into the world, because there's so many things to explore in the world. There's so many new ideas and there's so many new things to learn, and new philosophies and new perspectives and new people that have new viewpoints over life. And so with this, how can you change how you see the world in that way and expand your box? Then also, meeting together with like-minded people is important. It's good to, meet with people who really, really share your common interests and your common goals, and you have a lot of shared values and beliefs as you do, and who can talk about important issues that are going on that you are more likely to hear now. So what's going on is you get in these groups and then you start getting into conversations about the age wage getting cut, about all these humanitarian issues, about all these important issues that maybe you were so detached from that you're not willing to hear. Like Aquarius can get so detached that it's, disassociating from everything and everyone at worst. That's the lowest frequency of Aquarius. It's one of the lowest frequencies, is utter detachment and disassociation at its lowest level of consciousness. But at best, it engages with the world. It participates. It learns. It does things to make a difference. It plays its own role in actually doing things to make a difference for the issues that it is passionate about, for the issues that it is confident in and wants to serve in those kind of ways. So, and then instead of being so stubborn in your ideas and principles, Aquarius, in these ideas and beliefs, because Aquarius is a fixed air sign, it can be like dismiss anything that is anything foreign to what it wants to believe, what it wants to implement in the world, with what it believes. Like Aquarius can be, open to new ideas, but open to certain ideas and not others, open to only the ideas that are in alignment with Aquarians' ideas. So it is about being open to everyone and all perspectives, and allowing a space and being open, and asking questions and being willing to hear out anyone's perspectives without dismissing, others' ideas for, your own, your own, ideas, like thinking that your ideas are superior to others, and just being open to their ideas can really, really take you far in life. And then finally, Pisces. It's really, really important, Pisces, because Pisces can not be direct in its language. Because it's just a very, very soft and very... I mean, I hate to say this about Pisces, but it's a very tired energy. And it's a very cloudy, dreamy, like you're daydreaming, you've been, you've had Novocaine in your mouth, you're floating on a cloud, you're sort of spacey and you're sort of out of it, and you are communicating in a way where it is not direct and not making the points that you want to make. So this can cover up the truth and the honesty of what you're trying to communicate. So it's about being purposeful in your communication. Being purposeful and being as direct as you can be with your communication. As you can be with it. So I'm thinking about recognizing how you're saying something and making it more clear, making it more, straightforward and frank, as opposed to saying these things in little pieces that don't connect, saying these things that don't seem to fit together, or, like Pisces has all these dreams and ideas, but it struggles to communicate that. It struggles to translate that into the real world. And so Pisces is learning to take their ideas and speak to them in a way where others can understand them. Where it just makes sense logically. Take these abstract ideas and translate them into words and language that makes sense, and that's what it's willing to do. And then also, what kind of conversations have you been avoiding when it comes to shadow content? Because Pisces, is so sensitive, it doesn't want to associate with the shadow and the and all this kind of things is very resistant to that, but part of it is the shadow, and part of it does involve needing to face the shadow. So what are the important conversations about topics that you have been avoiding when it comes to shadow material of what is going on with its nut pines? So really having important conversations is very, very important. And then moving into uncertainty. Pisces is learning to be uncomfortable with uncertainty. Uncomfortable with things not being clear, things being disillusioned, flowing into the universe, like flowing. Pisces is here to just blend into everything, to dissolve into everything, to just let go of the certainty of the logical mind. Like Pisces is here to teach us to let go of the certainty of logic and the 3D and the material world, and trust the invisible, and move into the unseen realms of intuition and spirit. And so they can really, really be open to new information in this kind of way because of their compassion, open, flowing, adaptable, receptive kind of energy to them, and that's how they can also utilize this transit. So that is all I have on the 12 signs for Mercury square Pluto. This is your astrology transit for the week. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, for the video on Saturn and Taurus in the natal birth chart, in that Saturn and Gemini for the natal birth chart. I did Saturn and Taurus last week. I hope that you found value out of this video. And again, I encourage you to join my community, because I want to grow this community into a like-minded, curious, knowledgeable, and authentic community of a soul family, if you will. That's how I like to grow this community on YouTube. To where if I am on a live stream and somebody puts in a weird comment, somebody can say, "Hey, we don't use that kind of language here. We don't talk to him this way, or don't approach this in this way." Like, people can do this in the chat and have my back, so that I don't have to be a reprimand and be a disciplinarian to people on live streams or in comment section in general, to where negative comments are taken care of, and to where there's more people who really, really understand who I am, and who respect what I do. So I encourage you to subscribe if you're watching this video, because I don't want you to miss the offerings that I have to give you with my astrology. So thank you for tuning in, and bye for now, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Cosmic Sky podcast, I should say. Bye for now.